What if I told you there is a real-life Batman? What if I told you there are real-life crime fighters who puts on costumes, puts on a mask, goes out in their communities, and fight crime? This is real, and yes, some of them do wear hockey pads. These are real people with real armor, real combat training, and actual confrontations. While most of us panic when our DoorDash driver takes the wrong turn, these guys are literally running towards gunfire. Not only that, many of these costume fighters even have secret identities. And yes, many of them have managed to keep it secret for many years. I actually had the pleasure of speaking with the leader of one of these crime-fighting organizations based out of Seattle, Washington.
You know, we do dangerous work, we have put criminals away, and, you know, we become targets by certain people who want to act nefariously.
He was in costume because, yes, he too has a secret identity. Trust me when I say this, what he says will shock you more than Hassan Piker shocks his dog. The real-life superhero movement has been active for more than a decade. Some crews are gone, some fell apart publicly, but many of them risked their lives for years. This documentary and breaking news series will cover active costume vigilantes and will cover the originals. If you want to skip over the history portion, skip this chapter and go right into the active costume crime fighters. Costume crime fighters of the past helped pave the way for modern ones to exist. The most notorious one, and maybe you've heard him before, Phoenix Jones, whose real name is Benjamin Fodder, was the unofficial face of the movement when his story broke national headlines in 2011. A licensed, professional MMA fighter with a 7-3-1 record and competed at the World Series of Fighting level. He started patrolling Seattle in 2010 with a ski mask after he witnessed his friend getting attacked outside of a nightclub. By 2011, he had a 9-member crew, the Rain City Superhero Movement, all with a background in military, law enforcement, or martial arts. Their gear was a lot like Ellen DeGeneres, not funny and no joke. Phoenix Jones specifically had a black and gold rubber suit over a dragon skin bulletproof vest, carried pepper spray, a stun baton, handcuffs, a neck gun, a grappling hook, and he also had a modified car. His modified car had an onboard computer that printed emails from his superhero address in real time during patrol. Batman had a utility belt, and Phoenix Jones had a mobile printer. Like many costume crime vigilantes, he recorded his interventions. For example, he and his crew held down a stabbing suspect in Belltown till the cops showed up, which followed by him breaking up more fights and intervening to stopping crime all over. One known incident was when he publicly talked down a drug crew in an alleyway. Meanwhile, and be honest, you have trouble telling the waitress when the order is wrong, don't you? My favorite Phoenix Jones moment was outside of a courthouse where he publicly revealed his true identity like Tony Stark. Yes, he had a secret identity, and his revelation was quite dramatic. Then later in 2011, it all went sideways. He was arrested in full costume after pepper spraying a group of people after believing they were in a fight. Turns out it was just drunk people dancing. So he accidentally went from superhero to supervillain. Charges were dropped, thankfully. But the sad turning point was in early 2020, when Benjamin Fodder was caught in a high-profile sting operation involving the sale of controlled substances. Reports detailed an exchange where he met an undercover officer at a local coffee shop to finalize a transaction. Imagine watching Batman get arrested at Starbucks for smuggling narcotics. I bet that's a visual that everyone in that coffee shop will remember for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, this event largely ended the career for Phoenix Jones. While he briefly resurfaced during the COVID era, he's been out of the spotlight for many years. Although personally, sometimes I even Google his name hoping to see a revival. Let me know if you think Phoenix Jones should be remembered as a villain or as a hero. The Dark Guardian, real name Chris Polak, was New York's version, but did it a lot quieter than many others. He was a martial arts instructor by day, and several times a week, a costume vigilante by night. 1 to 2 nights every week for over a decade, he patrolled Brooklyn, Harlem, Jersey City, and Washington Square Park. He had a bulletproof vest and a powerful flashlight. His approach was presence and noise. For example, he made drug operations uncomfortable. He would show up, make a lot of noise, and refuse to leave. Imagine trying to get some and Booster Gold is in the corner doing the YMCA. The Dark Guardian was featured in the 2011 documentary Superheroes, where he was shown confronting dealers directly. He also distributed care packages to homeless individuals on every patrol. Here's where it gets interesting. His partner, Nicole Lund, eventually joined as Nikita, a Victoria's Secrets manager by day and leather-clad vigilante by night. They became what the media reported as the first superhero couple. Also planned to open a superhero academy in Brooklyn, specifically geared to training future real-life superheroes. Yes, there's many layers to this world. When Phoenix Jones got arrested in 2011 over the pepper spray incident, Dark Guardian publicly said he acted inappropriately in this instance. That was a real-life superhero holding the line on high standards for the superhero movement. He showed the people a decade of consistent work, zero major legal incidents, and a legacy that influences how many behave today. Mr. Xtreme founded San Diego's Xtreme Justice League, wearing military fatigues, body armor, a green helmet, and goggles. He had prior experience on the streets as a member of the Guardian Angels, and he had extensive martial arts training. On the group's first downtown patrol, they reportedly witnessed a man being stomped on the ground. They helped in each incident in the best way they could. He also helped raise awareness during a sexual predator case in Chula Vista by distributing flyers, speaking at a community event about sex offenders, and drawing enough attention that the deputy mayor even praised the effort. Beyond that, he built one of the most connected operations in real-life superhero history. This very night, there will most likely be costume vigilantes on patrols looking for crime. And when I discuss active crime fighters, many of these aren't lone wolves. For example, I spoke with the Red Ranger, the leader of a several-member group known as Echo. Echo is the most active, most organized, and most well-documented crime-fighting group in America right now. I'm really excited to share with you the full discussion that I had with the Red Ranger, so make sure you stay until the end of the video to tune in. And when I say he reveals a lot, wow, which already puts him above most politicians who many talk for hours yet say nothing. And these heroes are not relics of the 2011 age. They are a current operation with a growing roster, cam footage that goes back several years, and a mission that has expanded significantly since the organization began. My understanding is as of right now, they have currently 9 members: the Red Ranger, Black Rose, Miss Givas, Justin Service, El Caballero, Evacatus, Girl Scout, Skyman, and Iron Baron. In influencer math, that's basically an army. And every single one of these risk their lives on almost a weekly basis going on patrols. No, they are not on OnlyFans, and according to the leader himself, all of them have secret identities. And it's for 2 reasons. Number 1, the movement goes beyond the individual. And number 2, like the comic books where many of these stories are inspired by, they are looking to protect their loved ones. The Red Ranger remains the face and the leader of the Echo movement. Here's where it gets interesting. A nurse by day, crime fighter by night. He originally started as a nursing student, working ER shifts and treating violent victims. Day after day of witnessing these horrible incidents, he decided that treating the aftermath was not enough. He needed to be on the street preventing it. That direct pipeline from clinical experience to community patrol work is what separates how Echo operates from most groups. Their medical capacity isn't optional. It's built into the patrol design. They carry Narcan on every single run, which helps with ODs. First aid gear is standard. And on top of that, the Red Ranger is a registered nurse who can apply that training in the field on the spot. That's not the backup plan, that is the plan. Their gear has been well documented and it is serious. The Red Ranger wears grade 3 ballistic armor under his tactical gear. That's the same protection rating used by military personnel and law enforcement specifically to stop rifle rounds. On top of that, the Red Ranger carries a custom ballistic shield that he says is bulletproof. What he told me was badass. His own explanation of his armor says that every piece of armor I wear is because somebody has tried to hurt me there before. Every single panel has a story behind it. And he has more armor than Kim Kardashian has dance partners. His suit is a physical damage log Of every attack he has survived. His signature on every Instagram post is, "Stay safe, Seattle," which reads differently when you consider all the dangerous situations that he's walked into. The patrol structure runs in 2 phases every week. Phase 1 is full community outreach. Drawstring bags loaded full of food, water, socks, and other essentials that are distributed to unhoused individuals that they encounter. These patrols also include welfare checks, medical checks, and oftentimes just human interaction with people who are often treated as invisible. Phase 2 of the patrol is crime deterrence. The team walks the same neighborhoods visibly, in full gear. The presence alone is a deterrent. When the same armored figures are recognizable on the same blocks consistently, criminal activity either relocates or de-escalates before it starts. And when it doesn't de-escalate, Echo handles it. Guns have been pulled on them, knives, bats, and other weapons have been used on them, but they've managed to come out on top. Red Ranger once said in a 2024 interview with KUOW, "We've definitely had guns pulled on us. We've had knives, bats, iron bars. There have been people who have tried to kill me before." And the funny part is, he delivers that information like someone explaining their morning commute. Their approach is de-escalation first, always. But when someone brings violence, they don't fold. Physical altercations can and have happened on patrol. They are documented, and they tend to get good views. The team has successfully broken up active assaults and intervened in dangerous situations without backup and without hesitation. And remember, every single time they go on patrol, they wear body cams. Many of these situations, many of these altercations get uploaded on social media platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, where many of them get tens to hundreds of thousands of views. In my opinion, it's their level of transparency with body cameras, incident logs, and communication with police that have helped them thrive to this level. When people are watching their patrols, they aren't watching recreations, they're watching actual patrol footage. Their most historically extreme situation was back in 2020. This was at the Capitol Hill occupied protest zone where Seattle police pulled out a 6-block area following the George Floyd uprisings. Echo walked in, Red Ranger and Justin Service ran active patrols inside the zone, logged in real time. On June 19th to the 20th, a shooting occurred inside this area. Echo was there, no police backup, active gunfire, and in this zone there wasn't police activity. They were the only heroes there. They stayed, helped where they could, and documented the entire incident. During the broader protest period, the Red Ranger used his ballistic shield to block flashbang grenades and crowd controlling projectiles from hitting press members and bystanders.
Back! 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 Move behind me! Move behind me!
He stood in between the projectiles and the police and the crowd of protesters. He literally used his shield like Captain America. If you thought the shield was far-fetched, he proved you wrong in real time. That image defined the public understanding of what Echo was all about. Their relationship with police is described by the Red Ranger as normally quite good. They supplement, they don't replace. When situations escalate beyond what they can handle, they call police. That framework has kept them alive and well for over a decade, while many other groups collapse due to legal overreach or other types of controversies. One aspect that I thought was really cool, they actually team up with other crime-fighting organizations similar to them. You can call it a crossover. The Extreme Justice League was a group mentioned earlier in this video, but they're not a group that's retired, they are still active. Their leader, Mr. Extreme, has stepped back from active patrols, but his organization is very active. Not only that, recently they have also been part of viral stories, which included a major crossover with one of the most viral costume crime fighters, Skyline. In February 2026, the group had a joint patrol with Albuquerque's Skyline. This was reported and recorded by the Human Project on YouTube. This group emphasizes on the humanitarian aspect of the job. They help drunk college kids make sure they get home okay. They stop drunk fights. They intervene in public criminal situations. They pick up trash. They do homeless outreach, and more. One of the most durable insights came from one of their members named Knight, who offered the visual interruption theory. He said, when people in full superhero costumes walk into a tense situation, the conflict momentum breaks. They're not focused on fighting each other, and it lets us de-escalate the situation, which is always our primary goal. That's not a joke tactic. That's real behavioral intervention that works because the costumes are so unexpected, they functionally disrupt whatever was building. The costumes are de-escalation tools. The team also maintains a supply vehicle driven by a member called Midnight Highwayman, who coordinates the patrol schedule and runs the support logistics. Teams of 5 are deployed on a schedule. The supply vehicle hits areas foot patrols can't reach fast enough. It's the closest thing to an actual operational infrastructure that any of the real-life superhero organizations have publicly described. The movement is networking in 2026 in a way that it hasn't publicly done since the early 2010s. Albuquerque's new costume crime fighter has become a viral sensation. Skyline just started in 2025, but has made national headlines and become a viral internet star. His story went viral after the Human Project picked up his patrols and journey in January and February of 2026. And considering his story, it makes sense. He experienced homelessness as a teenager. Imagine that. He experienced 8 months on the street in high school. And let me tell you something. He described that experience as incredibly transformative, which has influenced many of his behaviors today. When he eventually got on his feet, started to look for ways to give back, the real-life superhero movement inspired him greatly. He connected with it. And so he joined the movement. In trying to give back, he too put on a costume and began patrolling the streets. Unlike many of the people in the real-life superhero movement, he can truly connect with those who he's helping because he was once in their shoes. His approach is outreach first, full stop. He's not just on the street hunting confrontation. He's checking on people, handing out food, talking with strangers, coordinating logistics, coordinating first aid. When asked why he wears a full costume, he says because of the marketing logic behind it. The mask creates conversation. It drives attention to the work and builds enough of what is a recognizable identity that allows him to take the stage and make the movement even bigger. In other words, the costume is part of a content strategy and a community tool. That's a modern viral mindset that the original real-life superhero movement did not have. On his de-escalation skills, Skyline has been direct. To quote him, "I've never had to apprehend anybody for the most part. I'm really good at de-escalating people." End quote. That's not just a boast. That's a skill he's been working on his entire life, starting from being in the streets to now handling these situations in a direct manner. And keep in mind, Albuquerque has a major homelessness problem. So much so that people refer to it as a homelessness crisis. That in mind, it's important to keep things in perspective. Skyline is less of a costume crime fighter and more of a costume peacemaker and humanitarian. But the patrols he goes on consistently and constantly puts him in situations where he could be face to face with true crime and danger. And this was highlighted when he did a crossover patrol with the Xtreme Justice League in early 2026. There have also been an increase of team-up requests, meaning expect to see Skyline in a city near you. And this fits into his longer-term strategy, which he has described as wanting a full superhero US tour, traveling city to city, connecting with other real-life superhero organizations and seeing how they can work together. This is a scale that not even Phoenix Jones could have comprehended. Let me know if you want to see Skyline in a city near you. The real-life superhero movement as a whole, is it a fad, or is this about to become a whole lot bigger? Well, I can say with certainty, The real-life superhero movement is not what it once was back in 2010, back in 2011, in its original peak history. And in my opinion, that's a good thing. It's way less controversial, more structured in how they operate, and a lot more transparent. We have groups like Echo who put it into their guidebooks, into their rules, that without exception, every single patrol is going to be documented. That helps not only those on patrol, it helps potential criminals and victims paint an accurate story of what happened. It helps the community make sure that everything is completely apparent and in the daylight. And it helps law enforcement who is trying to figure out what is happening. It's not without risk. There are those that treat this like an action movie audition, and needless to say, there are high consequences for that level of behavior. Some are gone, some got arrested, some are in prison, but yet many have flourished and many have lived a full career as a costumed vigilante. In 2026, it's safe to say the movement is growing. Heroes like Skyline have gotten viral appeal, and groups like Echo have expanded their roster. And let me tell you, look up some of these guys on social media, Red Ranger, Echo, and their teammates. A lot of their videos truly get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, and they're genuinely entertaining and engaging. The real-life superhero movement has higher visibility right now than it possibly ever has. That means, in my opinion, there's going to be more copycats, there's going to be more joining these organizations, and with higher numbers comes greater responsibility. Transparency always has to remain front and center for those who decide to take the law into their own hands. But this movement also sheds a light to a major crisis that's happening in cities throughout this country: crime, homelessness, and people who need humanitarian help. Many of these groups, 90% of the time or more, are engaged in humanitarian activities. And if wearing costumes brings attention to these events, then we need more costumes, more heroes, more incidents, more documentaries like this, more documentation. And if criminals are worried about possibly being on camera in the next viral video getting beat by a Batman knockoff, then in my opinion, that's a good thing. And yes, a lot of what these organizations do is for the marketing and branding appeal, but keep in mind, most, if not all, the donations that goes to these groups are used to fund these patrols, used to fund things like Narcan, used to fund food giveaways, used to fund the first aid that is used directly in the field. And keep in mind, these are real people going out on their own time, in many instances, funding the work out of their own pockets, wearing body armor because people have actually tried to take them out, and despite what they have seen, patrolling the streets week after week. Not for a season, not for a documentary, because people need help and they decided to answer the call. What have you been doing with your weekends? First off, Mr. Red Ranger, an actual crime fighter, masked superhero. For those who have not heard of you or don't know what you do or Echo, who are you and what is your mission?
I'm the Red Ranger of Seattle, and I lead the team, the Emerald City Heroes organization, abbreviated by Echo. And our mission is just to make Seattle and the world at large a better place, right? So we do nighttime patrols for crime deterrence, crime fighting. We do homeless outreach missions. We do humanitarian work. Basically, our mission is kind of wide reaching. It's a wide net, right? And the goal of it is just to, when we have so many people in our society that have so much need, right? And the need isn't getting answered, we want to be at least a partial answer to that need, right? We want to be able to be there for the people who need it most. So whether that be a victim of crime in the city, or whether that be a person experiencing homelessness, houselessness, and is impoverished, not, having no access to resources, we want to be able to provide those resources. We want to be able to lend the light, lend the helping hand. We don't have one specific mission, right? We have sort of a lot of missions, but the ultimate goal is we want to make the world a better place. and we want to make Seattle a better place and our community a better place for everybody.
Would you like to see more people don a costume and don a mask similar to you, go out in their communities, try to do community outreach, try to help the homeless and stop crimes when they encounter them? Is that something you would like to see in more cities and see more people adapt that philosophy and approach?
You know, I want to see a lot more people adopt the approach of what can I do to help my community? Not everybody is going to be able to put a suit on, right? With armor and a bulletproof shield and go out and fight crime. And I don't recommend that to everybody, right? You know, we want to do what is safe. But you know what everybody can do is volunteer. They can go to their local hospital and spend time with the sick. They can go to their local homeless shelter and feed the hungry. They can go to their local animal shelter and take care of the animals that need help in our society, right? There's so many ways that people can help and be heroes, right? And that is heroic work. It doesn't take a super suit to be a hero at all. So what I hope people take from the example that this work sets is that anybody can be a hero with this suit or not. Crime fighting is dangerous. I have lots of training and I've been doing this for about 13 years now. And yeah, it's been a long time. Not everybody, you know, I don't recommend the layperson just go out and start fighting crime. You know, we don't want to do anything dangerous. But like I said, you know, there's so many ways to help your community and the community as the global community at large, right? You know, we're all brothers and sisters on this planet.
Right.
You know? And there's so many ways that you can help people and be heroic, you know, whether you have a super suit or not. So I hope people go out and they see this and they say, you know what, I can do that.
What inspired you to put on a costume, put on a mask, find armor, join a team? What inspired you to do this? Was it the other costumed fighters that predated you? What led you down this path and staying down this path?
Sure. So I guess you're asking for my origin story, for lack of a better term. When I was a young man, as most people know, I'm a trauma nurse, and by day, and I typically, you know, take care of very sick people, people experiencing medical emergencies. And in my early training and getting involved in the medical field and working in the hospitals here in the greater Seattle area, you know, I ended up seeing so many people who were victims of violence, and then right outside the door, right, are people who are victims of houselessness and victims of, you know, just not having what we could provide as a society, right? And I thought, if I can do something to prevent this, I will.
Wow.
And so I got what the only thing I had at the time, right, which was a red Power Ranger Halloween costume. And I put that on because I knew when I first started, I didn't want it to be about me, right? I didn't want it to be about the person underneath the mask. I wanted it to be about the work, and I wanted it to be about the action of going out and helping people and making that decision, right? So I put on a red Power Ranger costume. That was 13 years ago. And I would just go out and I started giving granola bars and sandwiches and water bottles to my local homeless community
And it
here in
doesn't sound
Seattle.
like you had armor, right? I mean, a Power Rangers costume
Not
is
at that
all
time.
spandex.
Not at that time. No,
Oh
no. It
man.
was, it was like a Party City Halloween costume.
Wow.
And uh and I just started helping people, and the local community started calling me the Red Ranger. Well, what happened was that El Caballero, who used to work with Phoenix Jones, right, in the whole Rain City superhero movement, he had started the Echo movement after the falling out of Phoenix Jones back in 2015 and the splitting, the schism of his movement.
Right.
And they were patrolling and they kept hearing about this oh, are you guys with that Red Ranger guy? And There we go. Who? He's the Red Ranger. That guy. He comes and gives us food and water and stuff. You go, no, we don't know him. And eventually, what happened was we crossed paths. I was out giving out
Oh man,
supplies.
there was a crossover.
Right, exactly. And I was out giving out supplies, and they happened upon my just serendipitously happened upon my path, and said, "Oh, you must be that Red Ranger guy we keep hearing about." I said, "Oh yeah, that's me," and I recognized them. Of course, I knew about the Seattle superhero movement at that time, and they invited me to patrol with them. And I said, sure, let's join up. When we finished the patrol together, and the rest is history. They me into Echo, and after some time, several years later, now I'm the leader of the Emerald City Heroes organization. And yeah, that's how it all got started. Just started with a want to do good, right? It all started with wanting to be a difference, right? Wanting to make a difference, and the rest kind of fell into place.
Well, let me ask you, what is it about Seattle, Washington that creates superheroes, masked crime fighters? Because, like you indicated, you are not the first. Echo was not the first group, and Phoenix Jones was part of a giant organization at its peak. Rain City was a huge group. So, what is it about Seattle, Washington? Was it that someone was such a model that other people wanted to do it, or is there so many problems in the city that has to be addressed that heroes are needed?
I don't know if there's something specific about Seattle per se. I think that we're a big city, and I will say that Seattle at that time was a very interesting place because we were home to some of the richest people on earth. Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates both resided in Seattle. They're both from Seattle, and we have both the most access to the most affluent levels of wealth that can be found on earth, and at the same time we have one of the most grave homelessness problems. You see this incredible dichotomy of people who have absolutely way too much wealth, and people who aren't getting by, and I think, at least for me, that prompted me to action. Clearly we have the ability to help, right? Clearly the power exists, so therefore the responsibility must exist, right?
Right. Now, how
So
is your relationship with law enforcement as a result of this organization, you being out making patrols, getting involved in some active situations? How is your relationship with Seattle Police Department, the state police, all of that?
at first they didn't really know what to make of us, right? And especially Phoenix Jones, he kind of colored it in a kind of negative way. They had problems.
Controversial to say the least, right? We can say that, right? We can say controversial.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree with you there. Uh, but for us on Echo, we've worked so hard to try and make sure that we have a good rapport with our community. And over the 13 years that I've been doing this, I've worked very often with local law enforcement, and typically they know who we are, right? And they're ready to accept our help. And when they see us out there, they know who we are. They know we're not out there to cause any trouble. So generally, it's a relatively cooperative relationship that we have.
When they get involved, when it's Echo and the police, do you consider it a crossover?
I consider it a partnership. Law enforcement is a necessary aspect of any society. We're here to help people, and when they get involved in the spirit of helping people, it's collaborative. Crossover episode, maybe, sure, but at the end of the day, right? We're all about the same mission.
Are there ever
Um,
high fives at the end of it and like fist bumps and
sure, yeah,
celebratory?
give fist bumps to lots of people. And the men and women of the Seattle Police Department are no different, and we're happy to shake hands with them when we embark on the same mission.
Right. Now, one thing that you mentioned before was how you first started with a Red Ranger costume, and in a separate interview, you mentioned how every place you have armor is somewhere that someone either tried to stab or somewhere someone tried to attack. And
Oh yeah,
needless to say, you have more armor than Kim Kardashian has partners, right? So You have a lot of armor. I mean, look at you. You look like a tank. So first off, it's a two-part question. I'm gonna ask part one first. How many times have you been stabbed or attempted to be stabbed?
That's a hard question to answer. It's been a
Wow,
lot.
most people can't say that. That's that it's happened so many times that they can't even recall. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a span of over a decade here. Quite a few, quite a few. You know, I've been attacked with knives. I have been attacked with firearms. I've been attacked with, blunt objects. You know, lots of things that I've been threatened or attacked with, and it is true. You know, I wear this armor, and some have called me the most armored real life superhero, and it's because after so long of doing this, I've learned that I want to be protected. I want to keep doing. I'd rather keep myself safe, and not only that, it goes to a point of when someone is being victimized by violent crime. You know, if I can step in the middle and I can be the target, at least I'm prepared for it.
Wow. And I
I'm
know that
ready.
happened during the George Floyd protests that
Yeah.
you literally shielded reporters and bystanders from flash grenades and other types of projectiles, which is why I mean, it's unbelievable that there's an actual Captain America out there literally with a shield blocking projectiles. I mean, if you see that in a movie and you question, is that possible? And then here we go, an actual answer to that question, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. I did do that. And I love my shield. It's come in handy many times in my career as a real life superhero. And just like it, I put my, it serves the same purpose that I do, right? I want to be if I can take if I'm prepared to take the damage, then I will, versus somebody who isn't ready to take the damage. We're here to serve and protect. And protect is the important word there. But yeah, no, this shield has seen some work. And I'm very grateful for it. It was forged by one of our own team members, and it served me well over the many years that I've been doing this.
Now, have you ever been shot at?
Oh yeah, I mean we've been in, especially during the Capitol Hill occupied protests back in 2020. Yeah, yeah, we have been around live gunfire many times. I'm grateful that I've never been harmed by live gunfire, but we stay prepared. That's why we wear the bulletproof armor. Every member of our team, the Ambulance City Heroes organization, knows to wear bulletproof armor, and we make sure that when we go out on patrol, we're all wearing it.
Now,
It's not visible.
there's been some debate about that. Is it bullet resistant, or would you qualify
Well,
and say this is bulletproof armor?
well, nothing is truly bulletproof, right? Nothing is bulletproof. So the proper term would be bullet resistant, right? Now we've tested this shield, and it is capable of resisting rounds, right?
Wow.
Um,
That's
but
bulletproof as far as I'm concerned. If it's tested and it's stopped it.
yeah, absolutely. I could tell you the story about that. So this shield was engineered by one of our team members, the Iron Baron.
So
He was
cool.
oh yeah, he's kind of our team mechanic. He's our team. He's kind of the gear guy, right? And he actually developed three of these. One he still has. This one he gave to me, and the third we took out into the woods and tested it by shooting it with a bunch of different guns, and that's how we know they work. And it's made with a blend of plate steel and polycarbonate layers, which polycarbonate is the same material they make bulletproof glass out of, and that's what keeps it bullet resistant.
Wow.
So, and I never patrol without it.
Wow. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've never seen you not have it on you. So it obviously, I assume you keep it near your bed at night. I mean, it's such a good defense.
Pretty close.
Now, let me ask you a question because I noticed all your team members seem to have masks or helmets. Some of them have secret identities. Would you confirm that? That some of them have secret identities? And is that to protect loved ones, or is it more so, like you said before, so the attention isn't on you guys?
It's actually both. We do dangerous work. We have put criminals away, and we become targets by certain people who want to act nefariously. So not only are we're all human underneath the armor, underneath the mask. There we all have lives, we all have loved ones that we want to protect. That certainly is a part of it, right? But there it's kind of a twofold methodology, right? Another part of it is, anybody could be under the mask. And that's kind of the point, right? Is that anybody can do what we do. Anybody can go out and help their community, whether you have a super suit or not. I could be anybody under here. I could be you. I could be your neighbor. I could be all of us. And when it comes down to it, I hope that everybody can see themselves underneath this mask, whether they have one or not.
Let me ask you a question as plain devil's advocate, because as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of debate about, ICE and police wearing masks and hiding their identity on patrols and not having transparency and having accountability. To those that say, are you trying to hide from accountability? What is your response?
Body camera. And
I thought that was a microphone. So that's a body camera you have right now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, and we never patrol without body cams. Every scenario we interact with, we record it, and we hold ourselves to the highest accountability standards, right? Even though we're anonymous, we want to make sure that our community knows that we're there to help them. And over the 13 years that I've been doing this, that's been one of our big goals, is to make sure that we have that good rapport with our community. When people see us out there, they know we're there to help. Can prove it, right? So even though we're anonymous, we absolutely are accountable. I always wear, I don't wear anything different when I go on patrol. I wear this. I want to be recognized. When I see me, they know who the Red Ranger is.
You say you want people to know you are the Red Ranger, but I have to ask this question. Out of the costume, you are a trauma nurse. You're saving lives, literally putting, your health and body and well-being on the line. And then, you go at night, you put on the mask and you do it again, right? You put your body, your life, your mind on the line. Who is the real you?
Well, without giving away my identity,
that's what I mean is, when you say I am blank, do you identify more with the Red Ranger or your personal identity?
We're the same person. We're the same person. I'm the Red Ranger when I'm out of the suit too. The same morals, the same compass, the same mission, whether I'm in my, day person secret identity clothes or whether I'm, suited up as the Red Ranger. Same person either way, right? And that kind of goes to the point, right? Like I said earlier, everybody can be under here. Anybody can be under this mask. And I hope that everybody watching and those who really take time to listen to this story, they see that they could be here. They could be me. They could be any of us. That is, I don't have any superpowers. I have the same superpower that we all have, and it's beating in our chest. If you have a beating heart and the desire to do good, you have the resources to go out and be a hero.
Now you say you are not. I'm sorry, I apologize, but you say you don't have superpowers, right? Like you risk your life in a way that any of us can, but clearly you're in good shape. Clearly, not like you said before, not everyone can do what you do. What is your training like to be a superhero?
Well, without going into too much detail, you make sure that you maintain physical fitness. I do study martial arts and have for the past 15 years in various forms. And, you also study situational awareness. You study things like, my medical practice comes in handy a lot. Social awareness, right? It's not all just fighting crime, right? I mean, and the fighting crime part, yeah, you want to be able to know that you can handle a threat if one presents itself.
Right.
But more when we're out there to help people, being able to know how to do a safety check, being able to make sure that somebody has what they need, having the wherewithal to not only answer those needs, but also keep a lookout for what dangers or needs might be around you, right? Those are also equally important. Um, so not all of it is physical training. A lot of it is mental training.
Right? Because you do see a lot of things that are very harrowing. You've seen, I know you carry Narcan in every single patrol. So you see people that are ODing, you see people that are literally in the last, legs of their life. You carry all types of first aid, and for again, you're a trauma nurse, so you're able to so you're seeing a lot of things when crimes aren't even happening. You're just seeing life at the lowest levels, the worst levels, and you're there to respond, and you have to be mentally strong, mentally, powerful to handle that. I mean, what is your philosophy to prep yourself up knowing that you may see some dark things on your patrol?
You know, working in the hospitals and working in emergency care, I see a lot of dark things all the time.
So what do you tell your teammates then, because they may not have that awareness that you do?
And that's something that we work on, right? Is, when we go out, we have to prepare ourselves. And, we all understand what we're here to combat. And what we're here to combat is the darkness that permeates our society that we want to get rid of, right?
Right.
And so that's like people who suffer, and all that suffering, if we want to fix it, we have to confront it. So and big props to everyone on my team, because we've all made that decision, we've all made that commitment to.
And to emphasize, they do exactly what you do. That's the thing. They do what you do. And I've seen the photos and the videos of them interacting with the homeless and the sick, and that matters, right? I mean, that's not easy for anyone to do what you're doing. So do you ever have pep talks beforehand? You are the leader of this team. So how is it from the perspective of not only doing what you're doing, but from a leadership perspective?
We always have to brief and debrief, and I always make sure that my team is okay, especially after violent scenarios, and we have to, confront violence, and we're threatened with, lethal weapons, which, you've seen in videos. We always make sure that we're okay, and we do training drills, right? We meet up and we do, outside of actual patrol, we'll all meet up and run these drills and do sort of training with ourselves to make sure that we're prepared to confront these things. And big props to my team, because they're all really special people, right? And they all, the same as me, decided, this cruelty that's going on in the world, it needs an answer. And yeah, they step up. But you know, like I said, a lot of it is just making sure that we're always prepared. So we do regular drills.
So what do you mean by that? You do regular drills. So that means you're literally training with your team?
Yeah, we'll go out, and we'll meet up here every now and then, and not only will we do meets to um, you know tweak our gear and make sure our gear is up to stuff, but at the same time we'll meet up and we'll run certain drills to make sure that we know how to respond to certain situations. We'll have, even sometimes it's not in person, sometimes over video call, we'll go over different call signs and different operations that we can do. We go over different responses that we have to different search situations, so we're all mentally prepared. For example, like, oh, if we see a gun, what do we do, right? Or if we see,
What do you do if you do see a gun? Just as an example, like what do you do if that's the case?
definitely get behind cover. And if you can't
Wow.
find cover, you get behind this.
Okay.
The best thing is, right, if this gets shot, then nothing else does, right?
Most of your teammates have a shield.
No, just me.
Very important question. You mentioned before that you've put people away, you guys have threats, you have enemies. Are there recurring people that you've seen on the streets that haven't learned their lesson, almost like a rogues gallery?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes we don't really have any villains, no rogues gallery. People oftentimes go, "Oh, if they're superheroes, where are the supervillains at?" And, "Oh, maybe it's time for supervillains to show up." I'll tell you one thing: there's enough supervillains in the world already. There sure are. There's already way too many of them. And
Are you worried of inspiring a super villain, someone to, challenge what you're doing? For example, some people have argued Batman's villains wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Batman. So are you worried that someday you may create a nemesis of your own?
Not really. We've had real life supervillains before, and oftentimes they do the same work we do, just with a different kind of persona. But over my several years of doing this, I've had people say, "I'm going to be the next supervillain." Man, I've heard that 1,000 times. Uh, but not too worried. Like I said, we have enough real life villains already. We
Now,
don't need it.
I hear that. Now, let me ask you a question. You're a trauma nurse outside of the costume. Have you ever stopped a criminal and then treated them afterwards?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my rules of patrol is if I carry a way to harm a person, then I carry the way to unharm them as best as possible, right? So for example, on patrol, not only do we carry OC spray, I carry my OC blaster on my hip because we're not out there to hurt anybody. We're out there to stop crime. We're out there to save people. We're out there to protect people. We're not out there to do unnecessary harm. So if we can undo any kind of harm, even to those who are committing crime, then we will.
Wow. Oh, now, would you say it's safe to say you know how to heal a body, so you're the best person to know how to deconstruct one as well?
I do my best.
You're obviously a huge badass, as so is everyone else on your team. And if I remember correctly, you guys have 9 active members. Is that correct? 9 members of Echo?
Yeah, that's correct. We have myself, Justin Service, we have Crow, we have Mischievous, Black Rose, Skyman, Iron Baron, El Caballero, and Evocatus.
Wow.
And
And they all have secret identities. Is that correct?
all of us do. Yeah.
Wow. And is that a rule, or is that just a model that everyone has adopted?
We all have the same goals and we all have personal lives. So it's not necessarily a rule, it's more of a necessity.
Now, you guys, it's not cheap to do what you guys do. How often are you guys on patrols?
We try to go out at least weekly, but it kind of depends on people's schedules. But we try to get out there relatively regularly, but we don't like to say when exactly we'll go or where exactly we'll go because we don't like to be too predictable.
Right. No, I love that. Now, how do you get the funds to support this effort? And if others wanted to join in, how could they?
This is all home funded. We fund this ourselves from our own pockets. We do have donation links, in my social medias, and we do have like a Cash App people could donate to. We'll be setting up a PO box for people to send in like supply donations to. Currently, this is all self-funded, and
Wow.
we take it out of our own pockets, like I said. But to all of us, the mission's so important that it's worth it, right? We keep doing this. We want to be able to help people. We want to show people that there is a better answer. There is hope. Things do get better. Not everybody is out to take advantage of everybody else, right? And we want to be the example for the world we want to live in, right? Which is everybody, should have access to the help they need.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Mr. Red Ranger, your team deserves the attention to at least state what you're doing and have updates. I would love to have you back on.
Thank you for having me. Y'all stay safe. Take care. We'll see you in the streets.
What are my personal thoughts on the real life superhero movement? I've interviewed the leader of Echo. I've done countless research on all the different groups that exist, both in the past and currently. So who better of a person to ask? And who are these people? They're criminals. That's who they are. Vigilantes. A menace to the entire city. In all seriousness, I think the answer to that question depends on a completely individual analysis. However, I believe many of these costume crime fighters have good intentions. As of everything that I have read, personally researched, seen with my own eyes, and spoke to, I would even go as far as saying many of them are heroes. Extra pairs of hands and eyes for communities that could use a little support. I think it's badass what they do. To put armor on, carry makeshift weapons, first aid kits, humanitarian gear, and patrol the city. Literally risking their lives every single time they put the mask on. No matter what you think about them, you have to acknowledge these are truly badass individuals. Now, more importantly, what do you think about where the movement originally started, and how do you think it's developed? If any of these costumed vigilantes came to your neighborhood, in your city? How receptive would you be? Let me know in the comments and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.